I think it's going to change the game. The influencers who win at shoppable content and live shopping don't have to have huge platforms. They can still be very successful in their live shopping experience.
Welcome to the Mastering E-commerce Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Eitan Koter, co-CEO of Vimy. In an era of rising acquisition costs and increased competition, this podcast is dedicated to helping you drive sales, engage customers, and build meaningful communities so you can turn passive visitors into active buyers. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on future content. Now let's get started with the episode. Hello listeners, welcome back to another episode of Mastering E-commerce Marketing. Today, I'm really thrilled to welcome Paula Bruno, CEO of Intuition Media Group and one of the true pioneers of influencer marketing. Paula has been shaping the industry and the creator economy since the early days of social media, long before Instagram was even a mainstream. With over 750 brand campaigns and 3 billion and above impressions under her belt, it's a really impressive influencer marketing creator economy experience. Paula, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to get into everything influencer that you have to throw at me.
Yeah, great. I love the before Instagram was mainstream. You know, when I usually describe myself, it's, you know, I'm in the video business before the iPhone was even invented, right? So we have this, you know, at least 2 decades of experience of what's happening in the industry, right?
We do. Yes. I was way back when it was just bloggers, you know, we really weren't even it wasn't really even called creators or influencers.
Exactly. So Paula, before we get started, if you can just share 3 words that matter most to you.
Yes. I think if I had to say 3 words that really encompass how I live my life and drive my business, it would be integrity, abundance, and embracing.
All right. So we need to learn more. Please explain.
Yeah, I'll dig into that. So for me, I believe that operating from a place of abundance, not scarcity, is something that I truly believe in, and I operate the business that way, but I also operate personally that way. And I also encourage my two daughters to operate that way. I feel that operating from a place of abundance, not scarcity, truly does truly helps you as well as your business and your personal life. So you don't get caught up in the never-ending cycle of comparing yourself and or your business to others. It's really, and also it helps you to give because you're not operating from that place of scarcity, meaning you're not going to help other people. Example, you know, my daughter is a recent college graduate and she's working in New York City and she has a lot of colleagues and everybody is trying to get promoted. So, you know, you could operate from a place of scarcity and not try to help the other person next to you. But I truly believe if you're operating from a place of abundance, that you are going to help that person next to you. I believe that everything comes back to you.
Interesting.
So
it's a mindset thing, right? I mean,
it's a mindset, and it's also not only a mindset, but it's also something mentally, but also like your heart, like you're operating from a place of abundance, not scarcity.
Yes.
And you want to help the people next to you, even if they are your competition. That's how.
Interesting. And another word you mentioned is integrity.
Integrity. We operate from integrity. I never try to do something that would reflect poorly on myself as an individual and or the business. So that could be anything from, you know, operating with, you know, integrity when it comes to our clients' budget, operating with integrity when you're working with influencers, and paying them on time. That's just one example. So the integrity really is the thread that holds the business together.
Yeah. I mean, we are social creatures and we like to do business with people we like, right? And we feel comfortable with. It's so important.
Yeah.
And the last word?
And the last one was in embracing. I think that, you know, truly embracing every day. Not getting caught up in the past and not, thinking too far ahead, thinking ahead, of course, but still being super present and fully embracing today.
Yes, interesting. Great. So, Paula, you've been in the industry for this time, and obviously a lot of things has changed. What is now happening in terms of type of influencers? Maybe let's define influencers or UGC and content creators, and we know TikTok now has an affiliate marketplace, obviously, which is very, very powerful.
Right.
So let's start from just giving your bird's eye view of what's happening right now in this topic.
Yeah, it's changing so fast right now. I think since the beginning of the year, I've been attending all sorts of conferences and I am hearing the same thing over and over again. And I think there's a real pivot, a real inflection point happening right now. And there are a few things that are happening. I feel, two most important things that I feel that are happening. I feel maybe three. I feel that micro communities are the future. And and it's a lot to unpack. But what I mean by micro communities are things such as influencers not being platform dependent, but truly driving their own micro communities and owning it, however that might be. Maybe it is through live selling. Maybe it is through a Substack newsletter. I feel that we are definitely out of the realm of only focusing on vanity metrics, i.e., the number of followers someone has. I really think it's not at all about the number of followers or the reach. I think it's really about the community that the influencers have developed. And do they have fans and really super fans? That's what I think the future is. If you're an influencer, you might have a lot of followers, but how many of those followers are true super fans?
Interesting. And those super fans are obviously, as a brand, or retailer or someone who is a company working with them, you need to try to build like a sustainable relationship with those who are performing very, very well. Maybe they can be your brand ambassadors. And what I hear a lot lately is that it's important to differentiate between, those influencers or creators that are probably started probably during COVID and people were at home and they created great content. But today on e-commerce or businesses, we are looking for those sellers or influencers who know how to convert, right? And how to sell a product and how to promote.
It's not, yeah. So the future really isn't really about reaching more people. It's about reaching the right people through influencers, right? So micro communities are where the real brand loyalty is being built right now. That's what I think. I think that if you're a brand and you're trying to just go for the vanity metrics, I don't think that should be a long-term play. I do feel there is a fit for influencers that have big reach. Of course I do. However, do not forget about those smaller micro communities. They often see much higher conversion rates, and they sometimes have more organic brand love that you'll see within the comments because they're not interrupting culture, they're shaping it. That's my thought.
Interesting. And how do you define those micro communities? Obviously led by micro influencers, right?
Well, not necessarily, but what I feel is they're small, highly engaged groups or super fans of the influencers. They're united by a shared interest or value, and the influencer or the creator is the one that is really driving that, right? It's typically surrounding a specific niche, right? I feel that it's really depth over breadth, so you can have 10,000 highly engaged influencers, it can definitely be more valuable than an influencer that has 500,000, passive followers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how brands can find those communities, those micro communities, how brand can engage with them. What are some of the best practices, for those campaigns?
Yeah, I feel that always the biggest if you're embarking on an influencer campaign, I think one of the most important things you can do is set your KPIs with your agency or internally first and making sure that you're finding and you're spending time doing the research up front and don't rely totally on platforms. They're a great first step, but I do think that as a brand, and we work with many brands, I think that's a really great first step, but you really have to dig. You have to dig into their content and find out whether or not they do have highly engaged communities.
Yes. Interesting. So obviously those platforms will provide a lot of matrices, right? Like followers, engagement, even dollars sold, like definitely on TikTok. But what you're suggesting is interesting. Go to the content itself, see if it's resonating, because everyone has a style, right? I need to feel comfortable with the style of delivery and with the content itself, and make sure that it resonates with you as a brand.
Right.
Interesting. And what are some of the steps that brands can take in terms of conversion rate, right? I know you talk a lot about the data-driven approach. I'd love to know more about that.
Right. So I think that if we're talking about a brand, I think that they have to be really clear up front. Are they looking for brand awareness, which a lot are, or are they looking for more performance driven? And if they're looking for performance driven, one thing that I do feel that they should be tapping into right now is shoppable content and live shopping. And I think that I think a lot of brands are hesitant or not embracing it like they should. I think that in a few years, I think that that's what we're going to see. I think it's going to change. I think it's going to change the game. I think that the influencers who win at shoppable content and live shopping don't have to have huge platforms. They can still be very successful in their live shopping experience. So I think we're going to see in the future more influencer-led live shopping events and brands partnering with them for kind of like a QVC style interactive experiences. And not only are they going to partner with them to sell product, but I think you're going to have brands who are going to be sponsoring that event in a passive way, meaning if influencers are doing, a live event, maybe they break and they have dinner, and they have drinks, right? And so you have a brand that is kind of getting their logo and getting their product there, even though it's not getting, they're not doing the live selling of their product, but it's being integrated seamlessly during the live selling.
Why you are so excited right now with shoppable video and live shopping? Obviously, this is something we do here at Vimy, but I'd like to have your perspective on this.
Yeah, it's all about creating that frictionless environment. And I think that we have been moving for the last several years since 2019, since TikTok started coming. I think that consumers are looking for frictionless buying. And I think that they're also looking for immersive, like brand experiences, or they want to be, more immersed into the content and feel a part of it. So I feel that right now it's not as big as it is in China. And I feel that culturally we're a little bit slower to adapt. However, I do feel that we will be getting there. Especially now with influencers have been around for a while, and when TikTok was banned here in the United States, I think it really was a pivot point for influencers in terms of they were like, oh, I have to start developing other forms of revenue. And so I think this is another form of revenue for them, as well as brands.
Yes.
So I think that you're seeing I think TikTok is really big at the shoppable content, but I think you're getting other platforms that are popping up that are going to be really key and instrumental in terms of the live shopping and or shoppable content.
Yes, of course. And these platforms are providing new tools always because our platform is connected with APIs to all these social platforms, right? And marketplaces and
Yep.
affiliate and publishers. And we see how those APIs have been updated like on a continuous basis. Obviously, TikTok want to become a shopping platform, but this is probably not the plan for Meta, right? I mean, they have other revenue streams as well, but they are definitely looking in ways to help sell right through the platform with Facebook shops or Instagram shops, tagging products, and obviously YouTube are providing digital shelf and variety of tools for creators to sell. I mean, and we see that X are involved in Snapchat and Pinterest and platforms are.
Snapchat is also one that I don't think brands are embracing as much, but I do think that it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know that they've rolled out some, shoppable ads, and I'm interested to see how the creators who've been on Snapchat, typically it's been like an ad-free environment. So I'm just curious how it's going to play out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, I mean, we see great announcement from Snapchat. Again, Snapchat represent a very specific category, right, in the industry. So it's like in terms of segments and generation, obviously Gen Zs, and which is, I think, getting more and more share of the overall online retail business, right? So it's very, very important, obviously, to target those brands, and they have these interactive ads, right, where you can like create this kind of a shoppable content through advertising on Snapchat, and I think return on ad spend is very, very impressive, right, compared to other platforms these days. So it's definitely a platform that any brand needs to take a look at if they're targeting these demographics. And as you said, you don't need to have a huge, audience, right? You need to have that just the correct audience that just fits your category. And the way to succeed is by zooming in, right, and serve more and more function value to that specific category in the industry that you want to approach.
I agree. I think brands should, how should they take it on today? I think they should start experimenting, try a live selling event with a trusted influencer, maybe that you've worked with before. I have been talking to another platform, another agency who does a lot of live selling. And they told me that an influencer we worked with, a tech influencer, he sold like $250,000 worth of product within like 2 hours. So, yeah.
Nice.
And I think that brands have to test that it could be a game changer. And I really think that the brands that get in early and the influencers that get in early are going to win.
Yes. Do you see any specific categories that are more relevant, today for this shoppable video live shopping?
I think that, of course, beauty. Of course, it's beauty, but I also see home furnishing. I feel like that could be big too.
Wow. Interesting.
I do feel beauty, fashion, home furnishing could be big.
Yeah. I mean, there are great results like Stormy Steele's The Canvas Beauty, right? She sold like $1 million in like a couple of hours, a few weeks ago. And I think she doubled that in another event. So I think the business volume is just ramping up, as time goes by in terms of these events. If they are planned and produced, correctly with the correct best practices.
Right.
So obviously there are a lot of misconceptions on the brand side regarding video, regarding, all these new things. What are some of the biggest misconceptions you see right now from the brand side?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes, the misconceptions brands have regarding influencer marketing or shoppable video, all these new types of video ideas.
I think that brands don't understand it. I think the clients I work with, it's still too early for them, almost like they don't. And maybe part of it is that they can't, it's going to be a live event, especially if we're talking about live selling. Shoppable content is different. I think that's easier for them to understand. But I think the live selling, since they can't really control it, the environment, I think that could, the whole brand safety issue could be something that is stopping them using it.
Yeah, I mean, they are too afraid for someone to say something on live that damages, right, their reputation and everything. But what we learn and what we know is that this is the true authenticity and that genuine flavor of each one of those brands and founders and leaders have, just to show up, right? And differentiate through these mistakes and failures as well. That's part of life, right?
As part of life. And I think that the brands who are willing to take that risk on, especially, will have a first mover advantage.
Yes.
And I do, before it becomes oversaturated, I think it's going to take a while. But I do believe that influencers, I think there is oversaturation right now with influencers. Like, there are so many influencers to choose from. And so for influencers, I think for them, if they're looking to diversify and also looking to maybe have that, having also that like viral first mover advantage, they also have that opportunity because there's not a lot of influencers doing it in the United States.
Yes.
That are good at it. And I think if you find the right influencers and they really embrace it, I think they too will have the first mover advantage.
Interesting. How do you define a successful campaign, Paula, today, right? For some marketing.
Yeah, I think that it really depends. That's something that you have to set that up with the client before you even engage influencers. I feel that that's part of your strategy. What is success to them? Is it that brand lift? Is it brand awareness? Is it hits to their website? Is it bounce rate to the website? Is it number of clicks? Very rarely do we operate on a sales. Like, we are not like a performance driven agency. So most of our clients do not expect to get specific sales from a specific influencer. However, having said that, I do think there's more and more of a push in the industry to have some type of hybrid rate, meaning up until this year, we've seen mainly flat rates given to influencers in my agency, etc. I know I'm not talking about affiliate. I know affiliate has been around. But I do feel that it's going to take brands and agencies like mine. We really have to get in there and dig and figure out what the value is for both the brand and the influencer. And that might be that we're going away from just flat rates. So we're going from a flat rate to maybe flat rate to, offering commission basis. Maybe there's some type of hybrid model that we're working within the industry, and it's not standard yet. Nothing in the industry standard, but I feel that that's where we're moving to.
Yes, interesting. So that's, if you look at it from the influencer or creator's perspective, okay, let's talk about them. And how do you see, what's on their mindset? What wakes them up in the middle of the night? How do you see the future for them? What they are looking for? I think if you get more knowledgeable about what drives them and, how they see the industry, it will help also the brand side, craft better approaches and better campaigns with these people.
Yeah, I think what keeps them up at night is probably, how are they going to become less platform dependent? What can they do to diversify their revenue streams and own their audience? So if they are being coached right by their manager, but if they are looking at those diverse revenue streams and trying to figure out whether it is, working with a brand to develop their own brand line, given call it Alex Earl, who, worked with Frame and developed her own, skinny jean line. So I think that in the future, I think this year we're going to see more of that. We're going to see more influencers working with brands to develop their own line, co-branding their own line. So I think that's what keeps them up at night, is how can they diversify their platform and their revenues to not be so platform dependent.
Wow. Interesting. So you see also like influencers becoming the future brands? Like, you think some of them will be more interested to develop their own products? They're using their dropshippers and
I think that's huge. I think that influencers are going to be that. I mean, that's how successful brands are being built, right? Social first. So I do feel that if an influencer or a creator has an idea, and they, start building their own brand, I think that that's what we're going to see in the future too. Influencer-led brands as well as influencer co-branding.
yes. I mean, we see also the success of companies like Foltwall, right? That are providing, website and dropship for creators, and just exploding with the numbers of customers they have. And it's really just truly aligned with everything that you shared with us today, right? About the next, let's say, the next way of the creator economy, right? Which is mostly, sales driven and just differentiating those who create for entertainment and those who create for business, right?
Correct.
Although, tell us more about Intuition Media Group, right? Kind of services you provide, like kind of provide.
Yeah. So Intuition Media Group has been around since 2008, like way before we talked about influencers. We actually we worked with mommy bloggers and travel bloggers, and we worked, we held a large scale mommy blogger conference called Blistum for about 8 years. And it was really word of mouth back then until Instagram came on board. And then we started working with brands and agencies, and we run their influencer campaigns from start to finish. Everything from research and vetting to contracting to negotiating usage rights to helping the brand with content, creative, and also, working with them on their getting the paid media aspect if they want that. Sometimes there's a clear distinction between our agency and a paid media agency, but we do have those capabilities. Mm-hmm. And another capability we have is experiential. Given our background with Blistum, we also help brands with their experiential events. Think one of our technology brands had an activation in Times Square. We were able to work with their creative team and get influencers to submit content, and then the content was shown on the Times Square billboard. And or you have an activation at a larger event like Coachella or Art Basel, and you want to get influencers to your event. That's another key differentiator of our agency, is that's one of our capabilities, is to get influencers to events, to brand pop-ups, to etc. I do think that I didn't mention this earlier, in real live events with influencers, I think are going to be big this year. Not only like large events like a Coachella or like the influencer marketing show or like South by Southwest. I do think you're going to have influencers themselves hosting their own pop-up events.
Wow. Interesting. And so you just mentioned not only online, this is like offline kind of engagement, right? With an influencers.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes. And we see more and more of this, obviously. Yeah. So how companies, how brands can find you, right? And find Intuition.
Right. Yeah. I am everywhere. I am on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me via LinkedIn. They can also reach out to me via email. It's paula@intuitionmediagroup.com. That's also on our website. And also, we work with 2 creators right now and manage them, but we are looking to develop that as well. Work with a few select creators that we can develop potentially into this live selling. We're looking for, and they don't have to be large, we're looking for influencers who are really good. And it takes a specific type of personality. But we're looking for a few creators to help them with their live selling.
Great. I have a few that definitely I can suggest right immediately after the recording of this episode.
Great.
Great. Paula, anything else you want to add?
No, I really appreciate coming on today. And I always love talking about anything that has to do with the trends that I'm seeing in influencer marketing. And I love to talk to my clients about it and make sure that they're on that they know what's happening culturally to hope.
Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously a very fascinating topic and one of the most interesting marketing channels out there that truly, work, right? Everything else is just getting so competitive and so expensive. So,
Right.
I really appreciate the time, Paula. Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. I learned a lot. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the end of this episode. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content. And if you could share this with just one person, it would make all the difference. Are you looking to accelerate your sales with the power of shoppable video? Explore Vimy, the video commerce platform that includes live shopping, shoppable video, and social commerce capabilities. Visit Vimy at www.vimy.net, that's VIMMI.net, where you can start with a free for life package. We appreciate your support and look forward for bringing you more valuable insight in our next episode.